Good evening, YouTube. We are heading south on Dayton River Bikeway. We're heading south of town from downtown Dayton, or near downtown Dayton, to Moraine, Ohio. It's about an 8-mile ride. I've already rode 2 miles to get to this point. Not on the trail, but through the city. So really it's just going to be more like a last video, just riding along the trail here next to the river. There are some breaks in the trail that separate itself from the river, and we'll go through some like wooded areas. So just hang tight and enjoy the ride. If you watched my last video, we went east of town about 5 miles from downtown Dayton to Eastwood Lake. Today I'm starting off about 2 miles from downtown. But the actual ride on the trail itself is about 8 miles, I think, from Dayton to Moraine. Moraine is just a small city. It's a suburb of Dayton. But it's a good little ride. It's not extremely long, but it's long enough to get some good exercise. To the left is Caroline Park, Caroline Historical Park. Let's see if we can turn and get us an angle here. What you see there is the historical Caroline Bells Tower. I don't know when it was erected. I think it was in the 20s, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But anyway, this park is it contains, I think, a Wright B Flyer 3. It has the Wright Brothers bicycle shop in it. It has the Kettering barn. If you're not familiar with the Ketterings were they were inventors. They invented the electric starter for your automobile. There's some transit history, local transit history, and a lot of cool stuff at Caroline Park. There's an old schoolhouse, you know, the single room schoolhouse with the a steeple. But that's a real nice place to visit if you're ever in Dayton. Go to Caroline Historical Park. So hopefully today the wind is a little bit better. Like I said in my previous video, I don't know if you heard me or not, because the wind was pretty dramatic. I'm actually recording this on a body camera, which I purchased for the intent to use basically like a GoPro. But anyway, because of the location of the microphones, I can't really put a foam noise thing on like, you know, you would a microphone, because it would obstruct the view of the camera. So what I did is I just put a couple pieces of electrical tape just in front of those microphones, because they are facing directly into the wind. So I just put a couple pieces of tape to kind of hopefully block that wind a little. That way you might actually hear me talking. And it just generally make the ride more enjoyable. So hopefully that works out well. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. If not, who gives a shit? But hopefully you can hear me. If you're ever in Dayton, it's actually not a bad city. Like, Dayton gets a bad reputation because yes, it is a high crime city. You know, we're a mid to small size city with big city crime rates. But most of that crime in this city is centralized to a certain group of people. If you're a thug, if you're a gangster, or a drug dealer or drug addict, then you might get caught up in some violence. But if you're a normal, everyday person like me, no problems. The city's great. It has lots of great parks. We have hundreds of miles of bike paths. And a lot of bird watchers. Oh, I do believe they are probably, you're probably not going to pick it up on camera, but I do believe those are a couple of eagles. Some young, I don't know what they're called, fletchlings or something like that, the younger eagles. But yeah, in recent years, Dayton has kind of acquired a bit of a family of eagles, which is pretty neat. I don't know if you can see them or not. Anyway, let's move on. Eagles?
Eagle, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was right. You probably couldn't even see them on camera unless you, I mean, YouTube does give you the option to zoom in, so maybe you can zoom in and you'll see them. When I was a kid, me and my friends took a train off of this trestle. We ended up all the way in Cincinnati, which is only about, you know, a 45-minute car ride from here. But obviously, when you catch a train to Cincinnati like that, we didn't really have a way home. We got a ride home, but my friend's grandma was not happy. She was livid. We lied to her. We said, oh, we came here with some friends, and they ditched us. We were so dirty from being on that train. Anyway, good times. And just like the other trail, there's a lot of shit from the ducks. So if you see me swerving about, it's usually because I'm trying to dodge poop. Voila. Voila. Hopefully you're able to get a shot of the river in. This is the Great Miami River. The guy's a cheater. He's using a pedal assist bike. Can't see on the camera because it's quite a distance away, but if you can see those two cranes popping up over on top of the hillside there, that I do believe is the Miamisburg Mound, maybe. sometimes, although it's kind of rare, you might see a gardener snake on the trail, but it's maybe happened a handful of times. I ride I like to keep about a steady 10 miles an hour. I'm not in a race, so I don't really pedal too hard. When I was in my 20s and my 30s, I had a bike that was more a better style of bike for this type of application. I had a giant, real thin tires, and I would zoom. I would do an average speed. I used to like to ride from Dayton to Xenia. I think that's like 20 miles, and I would do an average speed of about 37 miles an hour. But I like to kind of ride slowly, just keep a steady pace, and just enjoy the outdoors, the view. Hello. It's a real pretty landscape. Just imagine how beautiful Ohio was before man came. Many of years have I rode these bike trails. I've rode as far as I'd say the farthest would be probably Yellow Springs, Ohio, which would be east. The farthest I've taken it this way is to Centerville, Ohio, and never do I bring tools, never do I bring a spare inner tube. None of that. Only one time in all my years, one time I got a flat, and another bicyclist said, I've got the tools, I've got the patches, and I got the pump. And we fixed it in 15 minutes. But you know what, I don't even care, because if I get a flat, hey, I'll just Uber home, or I'll walk. I hear a little clunking going on in my crank. I think my crank needs service. But you know, I've had this bike for 4 years. I bought it used, and I haven't had any issues with it. And I ride at least 50 miles a week. Even in wintertime, maybe not so much 50 miles, but I try to get at least a good 10 or 15 mile bike ride in, even during winter. Because I don't know if you're from the Midwest or you watch the news, but it really doesn't get terribly cold here anymore. Well, it does, but just not as prolonged as what it used to be. In the wintertime, we have at least in that stretch of what's considered actual winter, we have at least 30 days where temperatures are 50 and above. So it's like from 15 or 20 years ago, an entire month has been shed off of winter. I moved back here in late 2000, well, to be exact, I moved back here November 29th, 2018 from Florida. When I left Florida, it was 46 degrees in Tampa. It was freezing. I got to Dayton and it was 62 degrees. Imagine moving from Florida to Dayton, Ohio, and it actually being warmer in Ohio than when I was in Florida when you left. But just in that 5 years, I lived in Tampa from 2014, the beginning of 2014, until the end of 2018, so nearly 5 years. But the weather just in that time frame, it changed so much around here. But don't get me wrong, we definitely get some cold stretches. But when I was growing up, you'd be lucky to have 2 or 3 days where temperatures were at least in the upper to lower 60s. Nowadays, during winter, we get at least 10 days where temperatures are 60 or above. So it's really easy to get out in the winter and still exercise. This is just an industrial area. That's why you don't see any traffic. It's Sunday. Used to, this particular stretch of the bike trail really didn't exist. It was just like a city sidewalk, and they rebuilt it into more like a part of the pathway, because used to you would just have to take the street to the next section of bike trail. Which is one of my favorite sections, because as you'll see, it's like a canopy of trees. It's just real pretty through there. To the left of us is Interstate 75. Like I said on the last video, you can actually ride the bike path all the way to Cincinnati. Now, you would think you would achieve that by riding this trail that I'm on now that goes directly south. However, this particular path, it stops in Middletown, Ohio. Middletown is in between Dayton and Cincinnati. If you want to ride the bike trail to Cincinnati, you have to ride east of downtown Dayton all the way to Xenia, and then from Xenia south. And it's probably, it's going to take you a good at least 3 hours. You know, because you're going to stop a few times and rest or whatever. This thing right here, I'm not even sure what this place is called. Oh, it says, what is it? Sunsight Lake? I don't know what that sign says. That's what it says, sun sight. But as you see, go tubing here. Of course, you can't swim here. They've probably got signs up that say no swimming and all that. But how can you have signs that say no swimming and still be tubing? Because when you go tubing, you do a lot of swimming because you're going to fall off the tube a few times. Hopefully you're able to see that. So today the temperature isn't too terrible. Today the temperature right now is probably like 84, but it's very humid, so it probably feels more along the lines of 94. Anyway, let's carry on. Yeah, I think that's I don't think that's like a natural lake. I think it's a man-made. There's a lot of man-made lakes in the United States, I imagine. We have a lake here called Cedar Creek. It's in toward Waynesville, Ohio. This lake is so huge, you would never, if somebody asked you, you think this lake is man-made, they would probably say, no way. But what it was is it was just a valley, and they flooded it. Here on the right's a boat dock for the Dayton Canoe Club. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, that's the Dayton Canoe Club. I'll have to look up just how far this ride is, but I think it's somewhere along 7 or 8 miles. I'll look it up later. But this is my favorite section of the hundreds of miles of bike paths we have here in Dayton. This is probably my favorite section because as soon as you hit this section, because of the shade, the temperature drops. It feels so cool. We have a body of water to the left and to the right of us. I know you can't see it obviously, but there's some, I don't know what this thing is to the left of us. I think it's some, I don't know what the hell it's for. It's like a lake, but it's I don't know, it's not public or anything. It's not private really either. I don't know what the hell it is. There's real no way to get a good look at it, but yeah, it's to the left of us, and the Great Miami River is to the right of us. And it's slightly uphill. Yeah, a handful of times I've actually saw gardener snakes here on this part of the bike path, but pretty rarely. Here, I don't think you can even see that body of water. I'm not too sure what it's for. It's also to the right of us right now. I'm not sure what it's for. It's not the river, because the river here is straight ahead of us. The river you see in front of you here is the Great Miami, and this here is just a little boat dock. Right off of it. Psych. That's the Great Miami River. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is about as wide as this river even gets. It's not very wide. And in the downtown area, they've actually put like it seems like they've filled in part of the river and made it like a white water rafting type of thing. You'll see a lot of people canoe and raft down the river downtown. Anyway, that's that. Pretty cool little spot to take your boat. Yeah, I'm going to walk back to the trail. I'm a pretty healthy person, but my knees don't even like the slightest incline at all. From years of riding bike and playing sport, the cartilage in my knees is not that good. So I'll just walk this little hill here, save my knees from burning. Maybe you can see here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is a body of water there. I think when we get up here you'll see it better. And I'm not sure what the hell it's for. You can't put boats in it. You can't fish in it. The reason why I know you can't fish in it is because me and my friends tried years ago and got ran out by the city people. there's a sign that says no trespassing. Now here you can see, now I know you can see it. You can't put boats in it, you can't swim in it, you can't fish in it. It's got barbed wire fencing around it. It goes for couple miles. Anybody know what the hell that is? Why is there a big body of water that is of no use? What do they use it for? What is the purpose of that? And this building here, I don't know what this building was ever used for, but it's never been used. In my 46 years, I've never seen this building get used for anything other than obviously graffiti. So I don't know what the heck the point of all this water is or what it's for. Maybe it's in case the river overflows or something, to redirect some of the river into this to prevent it from flooding the city. I have no clue, but it ends right here. As you see, it looks like it'd be a great place to fish. Spot. When I was a kid and a teenager, it was not uncommon to see box turtles on the bike trail, but I have not seen a box turtle on the bike trail in a couple of decades. I don't know what the deal is with that. That's 75 next to us. If you take this bridge straight ahead of us to the right and you go down a couple blocks and then turn left. It takes you to the Moraine Air Park, or airport. There's a small airport on the other side of the bridge. And you'll see, well, you're not going to see now, but just to the left of that big tree that you see, that's where they come off the runway when they take off and land. They also land that way. Maybe someday I'll do a video where we'll ride to Moraine Air Park. There's always a lot of good people at Moraine Air Park. They love to sit and chit chat about aircraft and flying. I've met random people who have invited me up to go on a flight. Now, I never understood this sign that says weight limit 5 tons. Well, it's a bike path. I've never known a bike to weigh over a ton, let alone 5 tons. But I guess they might use this this as a way for, you know, for like city vehicles or something. So here we are. This is Moraine, Ohio. I don't know what the population here is. I'd say probably 20,000 maybe. Let me know in the comments what you think the population of Moraine, Ohio is. I'm gonna pull over here and stop, and I'm gonna ask Google what the population is. See how closely you guessed. I said 20,000. Let's see. Hey Google, population of Moraine, Ohio.
2022. The population of Moraine was 6,572.
Boy, I was way off. I said 20,000. Population is 6,572 as of 2022. Moraine is just a suburb of Dayton, but it's pretty much just Dayton. So anyway, here's our stop. As you see, there's a little rest area here with a drinking fountain. But they don't unlock them anymore. Oh, they do. Wow. Okay, I'll take that back. Last summer when I was here several times last summer, and never were these doors unlocked. I was assuming it because crackheads get in there, they do drugs, hang out, sleep, who knows. But that's good to know that they started unlocking them again. Because believe it or not, of all the several hundred miles of bike trails, other than like stopping at McDonald's or somewhere, this is the only actual rest area dedicated for the bicyclists on the entire bike trail. And that right there is like an AMVET straight ahead of us. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the ride here. Tune in for the next video. Next ride, I'll probably ride north of downtown. So if you're interested, tune in a few days, maybe a few weeks, who knows. I'll probably upload another video going the other way. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a good evening.